Welcome, everybody, to today's installment of our series of webinars. We've got a great one for you today. This is focusing on CRO and UX. So if you're a brand or an agency, or maybe you're just interested in digital marketing and what you can do to improve conversion rates on your website, this is exactly the place to be. So absolutely stay tuned. I can see the attendees list is starting to fill up. So thank you all for joining us. Looking very much forward to what we have in store for you today. So for anybody who's not joined one of our webinars before, my name is Rob. I'm one of the senior SEO consultants here at Spec Digital, and I am co-host to the webinar with Nick. I'm sure you've seen most of us dotted around on the internet somewhere. You can always find us somewhere talking about digital marketing, SEO, PPC, CRO, that sort of thing. So you're in good hands today. Just for a bit of housekeeping, just to get you all settled in. If you've never used Zoom before, you will see at the bottom of the screen, there is a chat feature. There's also a Q&A feature. Now, the chat feature may be disabled. I didn't actually check that, so apologies. But the best place for you to go is to the Q&A feature at the bottom. So that will pop up on my screen. I'll be monitoring any questions that come through throughout this webinar. So please do let us know what you're thinking, any questions you have. We will make sure that they are all responded to. If it's a bit sort of more personal, then we will only respond to you directly through the Q&A feature. But if we think it's something that's suitable for everybody to hear and really relevant to today's webinar, then we'll save it for the end and we'll read it out to everybody so that everyone can benefit from the questions that you have. So I see a few more attendees coming in. We'll give it a couple of minutes before we start, just so that everybody can get settled in. Do grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a pen and paper. I've got a pen and paper ready to go as well, so I can take notes. I have had a quick look at the slides as well, and there's some really good information in here. I'm sure you all know why we're here. It is for CRO and UX, and some of the points in here are really good. So you're definitely going to find some little nuggets of information that are going to be beneficial to you. We will be handing out copies of the slides, and we will be handing out copies of the recording. So if you do want a copy of it, please do drop your name and email into the Q&A, just so we can make sure that everybody gets them. Because we have had some people drop a message into the Q&A saying, "This is great, please can you send me a copy of this?" And then we couldn't track back to where the email had come from. So please do make sure that we have a copy of your email before you go if you do want a copy of anything. So just to round that up, bit of housekeeping, there's a Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. Please do use that to fire some questions over to myself, to Nick, to Ben, our guest today, and we will make sure that everybody is covered. So as we are approaching the 5 minute, I will sort of start to ease into what we're up to today. I'm sure most of you have already got it sort of locked into your minds. You all signed up probably over the past month or so, but we are absolutely talking about CRO, changes that every brand should be making to their website. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to increase that conversion rate. I'm sure you all know what it means, but just in case, conversion rate optimization. That's what we're trying to do. And also looking a bit of UX as well, because it ties in. What kind of journey are we providing to our customers? We're getting the traffic through to the website. Some of them might be converting, they might be adding to cart, but what we want to do is get that percentage up. We want to increase that CRO percentage. So I think we're almost ready to get started. Just for those last people that have been sort of joining the group today, hello, welcome. My name's Rob. I'm going to be hosting today. I'm senior SEO consultant here at Spec Digital and co-host to the webinar series with Nick Truman. We will be talking about conversion rates today and UX, and we've got some great slides in store. So we're going to be going through, Nick's got some slides, Ben's got some slides, and there's going to be some really great topics in here. So do grab a pen and paper. It's going to be worth noting some bits down. But if you are just too engrossed in what we're doing today, then we will be sending out the slides and we will be sending out the recordings as well. So don't panic. We'd rather you are paying attention and sort of listening to what the guys have to say. And then if you do want a copy of it, we can absolutely send that out to you. So just make sure that we've got your email addresses. So today's agenda, we're going to do a quick intro. I'm sure most of you know Nick from the podcast and from the webinars and from Spec possibly and Winning with Shopify. But we're going to do a bit of background on him and a bit of background on our guest speaker, who's Ben Burgess, who has got some great tips. As I said, I've sort of had a sneak preview at the slides and there's some really great stuff in there. So I have a pen and paper ready because I'm going to be taking notes as well. Once we get through the intros, we're then going to hand over to Nick and Ben, who are going to be running through their points. If you do have any questions regarding those bits, please do fire it into the Q&A. If I think it's super relevant to what we're talking about at that moment, then I will interject and I'll try and get your question answered there and then. I may get disregarded. I say, stop it, Rob, we're going to wait till the end. That's absolutely fine. We'll make sure that every question does get answered. We're then going to stop for a quick coffee break, and Nick's got a bit of a teaser, a bit of a tea time teaser going into the coffee break. So stay tuned for that because that's a bit of fun. And then we're going to wrap it up with a live Q&A. And that gives everybody a chance to ask any questions, any sort of scenarios that you're experiencing. We completely appreciate every website is different. So when we're trying to put together these slides, we know that everybody's sort of situation with CRO and UX is going to be completely different. So what we're trying to do is pick on some hot topics that we know are going to sort of broadly improve everyone's websites. But if you have anything specific to your website, please do let us know. So be happy to try and help you get involved on today's webinar. Cool. So next slide then, please, Nick. So if you are keen to sort of follow more of our digital marketing webinars, we do this every month. Hello again to anyone who came to last month's. We had Caroline Belinska, who is the founder of Boutique Automations, and she was actually the founder of Winning with Shopify. So it was great to have her on a webinar. She was talking about some great topics alongside Nick as well. I was sort of interviewing both of those. If you do want to catch that, I believe that's on YouTube now. If it's not, then it will be very shortly. That's me slacking, so apologies if it's not. But if you get your phone out and scan that QR code, that's going to take you to the list of all the webinars that we have currently scheduled. I think we've got up till about July, August, something like that. And there will be some for the rest of the year. So if you are finding this useful, or if you're keen to see what else we're going to be talking about, give that a quick zap and you'll be able to apply, sort of reserve a spot for the upcoming webinars. So well worth doing, all sorts of goodies to come up and some great guest speakers as well. And there we go again. Yeah, if you do want a copy of the slides or the recording, please do ask in the chat. I'm not sure if the chat feature is working, so please use the Q&A. If not, you'll know if it's not. It will just say message didn't go through, or just won't even let you. So please use the Q&A. Leave your name and your email address, just saying, yeah, me, please. I'd love a copy of the slides. That would be perfect. Lovely. So heading over to our first speaker today, we have Nick Truman, founder of Spec. Nick, would you like to give us a bit of a background on yourself and Spec?
Lovely. Thank you so much, Rob. And yeah, just to echo Rob's welcome, great to see so many of you as well. It's you're also bursting in the first 20 seconds, which is great. But yeah, for all of you guys that joined, really real pleasure to have you tuning in today. Yeah, tiny bit about background. I'm not going to read every single word on the slide, and that's going to be a theme as we go through today. But yeah, we focus on PPC SEO. We're based in Surrey. We operate a lot in London. We're pretty heavily integrated with Shopify, as well as lots of other e-commerce platforms, and also other platforms like WordPress and Umbraco, Drupal, and a whole range of other delightful platforms that I'm sure we've all enjoyed using over the years. But yeah, we work a lot with Shopify. We're a premium Google Ads partner. But through PPC and SEO, obviously conversion rate is a very, very important thing of everything we do. And we find ourselves making CRO recommendations changes to client sites all the time. And our philosophy is there on the right-hand side as well. It's basically about how do we ethically make you more money. Is the synopsis of all of those points. And we also, Rob's mentioned the podcast. It's not a color I would have chosen, but it's a very bright slide, this one, which is the Winning with Shopify slide. So do check out our podcast if you want. It's called Winning with Shopify. It's on every normal platform like Apple, iTunes, Spotify, etc., etc. I know quite a few of you guys that are tuning in today listen to it as well, because some of you have messaged me saying, how do I find this webinar? It's going to be awesome. So I know I've sent you messages and I can see at least 3 of your names in there. So great to see you guys here. But yeah, check out the podcast if you want as well. And there's a couple of QR codes there. Again, we can send slides out. You can scan one of those. The one on the left is Apple Podcasts app, and the one on the right-hand side is Spotify. But yeah, it's free to tune in. So come get involved. And we've also got winningwithshopify.com if you want to send us a message or see what else is going on outside of the podcast. But yeah, back to you, Rob.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. And also to anybody who might be attending the Digital event tomorrow in London, Nick is speaking, and a couple of the team here, plus myself, will be hosting some roundtable sessions. We'll be answering questions and trying to dig into some of the issues that are facing marketers and those in the digital industry. So if you are heading down to Digital tomorrow, please do look out for us. We'll have a big sign. There's a space rocket on there. You can see us from a mile away. So please do look out for us if you are going to be there. Come and say hello and come and have a chat. We'd love to speak to you. Great. And then our guest speaker today, who we're very excited to have, is Ben Burgess, founder of 11. 11 is an agency that focuses on branding and web design and development. Ben, great to have you. Please give us a bit of introduction to yourself.
Thanks for having me, and hello everyone. It's an absolute privilege to be invited along. So yeah, I'm the founder of 11 brand and web agency, as you mentioned. We specifically work on Shopify for those brands, D2C brands, who are placing kind of creative first and really harnessing the power of creative to aid conversion. That's our kind of sweet spot in there. I see a couple in the chat that we've worked with previously, so hello to you out there with your all clients. So it's great to see you again. We're based down across London and Brighton. been around for 4 years, and as I say, really enjoying the D2C space and the exciting things that we're being able to do, particularly powered by Shopify.
Cool, thanks, Ben. And Ben's got a strong background in the industry as well. If anybody had a look at our read up of some of the sort of household names that Ben's worked with in the past, we are really in great hands today. And as I said, I've had a sneak look at some of the slides. There are some really good bits in here. So prepare yourselves. Cool. So I think that's everything. To anybody who has just joined, please do use the Q&A feature if you have any questions. Let's get started. Let's get on with the next, with the first slides. I think over to you, Ben.
Yeah, back to me. So I get the privilege of kicking off, and the reason why I've got number one in this space and why it's here is the problem solution piece, as we term it. So this is all around essentially setting out a really good user experience across the content of a targeted landing page. So that could be your homepage, it could be a product page, it could be a specific page where you've got traffic coming to. And these pages are designed to convert. They're designed to educate that customer and move them through the funnel and help those customers make decisions. And we see a lot of websites, landing pages where brands think, great, I've got a great product. We throw up a carousel of images, we've got a bit of a description, and the magic's then going to happen. But ultimately, in a competitive marketplace, that's not enough. And what we need to do is remove any barriers that the customer might be facing in terms of decision making. There might be another competitor with a similar product on offer, and what's going to make yours stand out against the other. We also, the friction in terms of education and discovery needs to be simple. We don't want to make that customer really dig deep to find out if this is right. Let's say it's, I don't know, a size of a sofa, and is that going to fit in my living room? Simple things like that, which may seem obvious, are sometimes hidden, and it's that flow. So the targeted landing pages are built in a problem solution approach, as you can see here, and the methodology behind this is presenting the why and the what. So we need to put together, why are we here and what problem are we trying to solve? So that problem and its needs. Once we've kind of opened up at that kind of top stage, we move down the page where we start to break resistance. So this can come in many, many different ways for the customer. It can come from price, it can come from availability, it could come from the benefits. Let's say you're in the supplement space, is this going to help me? It could come from how, like I say, it's endless in that space, and it really depends on your product. And then finally, once we've educated, we've broken down that resistance, and essentially there's nothing left to say or do, then we hit up with the offer. And that offer can come through incentives. Again, it can come through availability. It's essentially that call to action to get that product into the checkout. So if we flip on to the next slide, I've got a couple of examples which are essentially moving those customers down through that decision-making flow. And as I say, it's all designed to get products into the basket, move that customer through the checkout, through to the bottom of the funnel. So starting on the left with Hoxton Max, this example is based around breaking the resistance in trust and education. So Hoxton Max sell refurbished Apple Macs. A lot of people don't understand what refurbished is. And working with this brand, we quickly found out that that was a pain point, a barrier, that was a point of resistance. So the why and the what we needed to educate. What is it? Why are we doing it? So this is broken down very simply here for this slide, but ultimately breaking down why and what. Refurbished is better for planet Earth because you're essentially not buying anything new. So there's a great USP point, but you're also explaining why you should buy refurbished, through to then what refurbished is, but also why should you buy refurbished? It's cheaper than buying new. It's not term secondhand. It's refurbished. It's been updated and repaired, or it's good as new. But again, you're straight away educating that customer. You go, okay, good. So in this point, we've got a tested product that is passing those tests to allow it to become refurbished. And then the resistance part that often came up in this example is trust. Why should I trust this company? Should I trust a refurbished product? And so we start pulling out all of that information designed around that product specifically and this brand, and educate that customer about buying this product and breaking down those barriers. So you can trust it because it is certified, it does come with warranty. We can show you the different levels of quality through, in this example, they had 3 tiers of refurbished items. And so it's visualizing that. And then finally, as we get down through to the offer stage, we're essentially saying there's only so many left in stock. So we're starting to create some urgency, a bit of fear of missing out. Someone might need it, and yeah, we want to grab it straight away. Limited offers, discounts, incentives. So that was a very slimlined and quick journey through that funnel for that refurbisher. And then flipping to the right-hand side with heights here, this is an example I've thrown in to kind of give you an example, an example of something a bit different, and different product, different setup, but the same structure, the same methodology takes place in here. So why and what? So why this product? Well, it's going to control your health and or give you control to your health. And what is it? Well, it's an all-in-one multivitamin. So very, very simply on this product page, it's copy, and that copy is educating that user very quickly and simply. And then we move through to the breaking resistance. So in the supplement space, quite often the resistances are, is this real? Is it going to work? You know, how can I trust it again? So we've got things like backed by science, reviews, testimonials, how it can affect different parts of your body, and real results. And again, this is all clearly structured in a great page. This is a good example. I suggest you will go have a look at after. And then as we get to the bottom.
Sorry, Ben, I was just going to jump in because I think this
Yeah.
is really interesting how when I'm structuring a page from an SEO perspective and I'm trying to deliver content that is helpful to the user, because that's what Google is looking at, that I actually structure my content very similar to this in terms of sort of the why and the what, and then sort of trying to answer questions that we know that the customer might have before sort of leading on to the CTA. So it's really interesting that you're sort of looking at this from a conversion rate optimization point, and I've sort of gone down an SEO route and ended up at a very similar sort of junction point. So almost from doing these actions, you're actually ticking 2 boxes. You're increasing your conversion rate, hopefully, and also sort of ticking a box from a SEO perspective.
Absolutely, yeah. And to build on top of that, you can build the break and resistance sections out with more complete SEO pieces that are really, really rich. Because ultimately, when customers are looking for solutions for whatever their needs are, they're searching those key terms. Those key terms are then found, but also at the same time, you're using a bit of design and content psychology through that user experience to bring them down to getting them to add that to basket. On that page particularly as well, we've got a really nice offering CTA, sticky CTA to the page, always there. So that customer doesn't actually physically have to scroll to the bottom. If they decided to make their mind up after reading top line, 2 lines, great, add that to basket, nice and simple. And again, the call to action is boosted by, again, that FOMO piece, which I'm seeing a lot in this space, and we're doing a lot with clients, is creating that need, that urgency, that fear, that scarcity, but then also empowering people as well, feel better. That's something that everyone wants to do in this case, in this example. And then finally, to add into here, the last piece in this particular point is this is all well and good, but you need to test it all. And I'm sure Nick will talk a lot about testing and knows it really well. You can skin up lots of different landing pages, and you can test that. And you can test that through creative copy. You can test it through imagery, through button colors, placement of copy. The tests are endless, and there are great simple apps out there that can do it on Shopify, and there are other technologies that allow you to do it as well. Testing it is going to give you the answers that you need to understand what's actually working, because you can build a really good problem solution approach landing page, but you don't know if that's right or if that's working until you have another piece to test against. So I'd always say, when doing this, always think of an A and B route that you can put together, even if it's as simple as moving content higher or lower down on the page. If you're stuck with not being able to do any further kind of creative or copy, those simple tactics can also deliver good results.
Awesome. Cheers, Ben. And I'm going to take things over from here. So Ben and I are going to alternate all these points. We've got 10 in total. But yeah, I love the example you've given, Ben, because actually it ties in nicely, I think, to pretty much the other 9 points. It's like, if you don't have that good solution to the problem, nothing's going to work. So taking that then into kind of level 2 in sort of so that's a macro thing that Ben's just explained. So now going into some of the micro things of like, what are we actually going to change now as a result? Well, I'm going to talk briefly now about add to cart and the pop-out drawer, as you called it really nicely on the podcast last week, Ben. But yeah, the pop-out drawer, as it's known, you can see here on the screenshot, it's popped out on the right-hand side. So someone's added to cart, but they haven't bought yet. So what does your website do next? And to be really blunt, and I'm not going to show any bad examples, so I don't want to badmouth any brands, but so many brands do this terribly. You add to cart and it's like, your product's now in the cart. Do you want to go to checkout? And that's it. There's nothing else there. There's no compelling message. There's nothing nudging or pushing the customer to actually move forwards. The problem with that is customers these days are expecting extraordinary amounts of value, and it's because the internet's getting more and more competitive and a lot more saturated in so many markets. You have to stand out. So 5 little points here. Does what you're looking at now, does it lead them to buy? Does it tackle, as Ben's gone through, some of their rejections? Does it upsell and cross-sell? I've read some amazing statistics over the years that have said that the more people put in their basket, the higher the chance there is that they're going to buy. So actually, once they've got something in their basket, the aim generally shouldn't be to just get them through the cart as fast as possible. It should be to add more to the basket. So upsells and cross-sells, which we're going to talk about quite a lot throughout today. Gamify the delivery, and I've got an example of that in a second as well, and also loyalty confirmation. So it's all very well and good saying you're going to win 1,000 loyalty points, whatever that means. When you add to cart, does it actually then say you've now earned some loyalty points? And on this example on the right from Moon Magic, the website doesn't actually look or work like this anymore, but I'm keeping this screenshot because it just so clearly explains what's important to the customers. And you can see at the top there, it says you've earned free shipping. I'm going to show you an example on Gymshark in a second as well. But yeah, nicely laid out. There's 2 products in there, but it also says you may also like, and you've also got the free shipping. So a good amount of information. And going back to what Ben was saying about button colors, the free shipping's in green. It's the only thing in green to draw your attention to it. So again, gamification, it's like, I've already won this level. So the gamified delivery, then taking that to the next level. So Gymshark, as you can see on the right, it's on a desktop now. On the right-hand side, you can see we've got that free shipping bar. And what's amazing is once you get free standard shipping, you get that green tick. And then you start working your way, as it says, I don't know how small that is on people's screens, but you then start working towards free express shipping. So the gamification actually has 2 levels here. So either you're paying for shipping, which free shipping starts at quite a low level, or you're getting free shipping, or you're getting free express shipping. So it's gamified to try and push you through the cart. Left-hand side there, you might also like. So right now, I'm actually at almost like, if you imagine it like a journey in a car, I'm at a roundabout. There's loads of cool options open to me.
Sorry, Nick, I'm just going to jump in. If anybody's trying to see the text on their screen, you can actually zoom in. If you click on the slides, and then if you're on a Mac, you can just sort of zoom in by spreading your fingers, or you can zoom in by, I think, Control Plus, I believe, does it on Windows.
Oh, perfect.
But you should be able to zoom in so you can read what Nick's showing you.
Awesome. I've learned something today as well. Thank you, Rob. That is always useful to know. So yeah, that's the Gymshark one. And I love this example as well from Wayfair. Again, this is on a desktop, but I put a floor lamp in my cart, and it's now telling me I'm probably going to need a light bulb as well, which is an awesome light bulb. There's reasons to buy it. It's it's F rating. Anyone who knows about energy ratings, F's pretty good these days, even though it's amber. The EU's changed the scale because everything was getting so efficient. 2,800 reviews on that product as well. So there's all these reasons why I want to continue with this. I can call them and get some shopping assistance. They've also got an amazing returns policy. So you see, I'm not flooded with information, but it's nice and smooth and it's driving me through. But the most important thing, and this is what Ben was saying about testing and getting this right, test, and test some more. It has to work for your customer base. So the amount of times, if I just go back to the Gymshark example, I show that to a client, they're like, well, if Gymshark's doing it, I must do it. And they install it and conversion rate drops. And they're like, Nick, you were wrong. And it's like, no, you didn't test it properly. And that's the conversation then kicks off. So test things, keep it relevant to your customer. Ben, back to you.
Thank you. So this moves nicely into gift with purchase. We've spoken about, excuse me, the cart drawer, the pop-out cart drawer. And gift with purchase is the perfect kind of add-on into this space. Now, gift with purchase is little and it can go a long way. When I mean it's little, what you want to be doing is giving away low value items, unless you've got the budget, the inventory and the margins to do something a bit bigger. Gift with purchase is that supplementary add-on, and it works really well in a threshold process. So as you can see in this example, which is My Oddballs, which is an underwear brand who do it really well. They've got all the key things you need in this cart drawer. So we've got the threshold that we're working our way through, and then we've got express delivery or free delivery at £30, and then we've got at £35 we've got a free gift. And it's clearly informing that customer of the steps they need to take to get there. So add 1920 in to get free track UK shipping, add an additional 2420 to get that free product. And that's where this kind of like dopamine hit is coming from. For the customers. They don't want to miss out, and there's something available, but we're not really sure what it is yet. And so we want to get there. So we start adding more things into the basket. And it's tactical pricing as well. And this is all designed around increasing your average order value. Recently for a client, we implemented this, and they've seen I think a 5% uplift in the last couple of months just on their AOV, which is massive for them. And that was all done through gifting with gift with purchase. And on top of this, it helps build that lifetime value for the customers. So they're going to start feeling part of that community. They're going to feel like they're rewarded well, and it's not all just you trying to get as much money from them. You're actually giving something back. So if we jump on to the next slide, I got a couple examples here. So these are two brands where they're running gift with purchase just in a different way, because my note at the bottom, I'm just going to highlight this first, is gift with purchase works best with a strategic delivery. No one size fits all. And what I mean by this is every one of you out there listening now are going to have different ways of doing this. Your product setup is different. Your strategy around how you discount, your strategy around your pricing, and so on, the products you've got available. So it's not like Nick said, oh, Gymshark do it, we'll do it, work for them, it works for us. It really is kind of working out strategically how it's going to work. So on the left-hand side, we've got Cavi Cages, and they've got two, they've got one threshold delivery threshold at £50 for free delivery. And then you can see we've got free gift, and then we've got a crazy free gift. So they've doubled it up in terms of their free gifting. So when you spend X, which is 100 and even small for me, and I put this in, £120 for free gift, you get a free gift. And you can, in this instance, we've designed a drop down that allows the customer to have a choice. So then choice is really, really important. So not only is it just, I don't know, let's say pair of socks, which is for Seffi on the right. Here, there's a opportunity to choose from a selection of gifts. So then that customer has got choice, and that feels really good. Then you can even take up a step further when we go to crazy gifts, and we're pushing the average order value up even higher, but we're also giving away something worth even more, so a bigger value. And their strategy was lower gifts for lower thresholds, higher gifts for higher thresholds, obviously, and that really has helped push those customers, add those accessories into their basket. And where I spoke about the dopamine hit at the beginning, I think Seffi is a great example, also running on Cavi. We're essentially asking the customer to complete adding that gift into their basket by ticking a box or a radial button that's in green on the right-hand side and free gift. Until you've hit that threshold, you can see that gift's available in that example, but it's grayed out and you can't actually click it. But until you hit that free gift stage, then the user can tap or click, and suddenly that product then goes into the basket. And there's been studies around how that kind of little dopamine hit really works quite well to get those customers to keep pushing and adding a bit more into their basket. So yeah, that's my point on gift with purchase. Sorry,
slightly trigger happy there. The only thing I was going to add quickly was just the on that first screenshot on the sort of middle of the screen, there's also the loyalty program at the bottom as well. So you're actually going to earn some coins with a learn more. Like, what do the coins actually mean? You can click here to find out. So actually what they've done is you get a free gift, which is probably, the gift itself is probably going to bump their average order value up by nothing because it's free. But you're encouraging and almost like educating and trying to convince that customer to learn to receive a few products every time they buy from you. And yeah, there's a whole strategy behind what the free gifts can be as well, I think, which is really cool. We've got an example on the right-hand side from Mamas and Papas, one of our clients who has done bundling upsells and cross-sells. And what I love about the one on the right, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, is the pricing. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, some of the different bundling options, and going back to what Ben was saying right at the start, again, I mentioned that first point is going to be almost like a theme through all of these, about the solution to somebody's challenge or problem. Keeping it on brand, I think, is really key. So there are some examples down here next to the little stars on the bottom left. So they shop the look. And I've got some examples of that. You may also need, which we looked at on the Wayfair example, discount for a bundle, which is what we can see on the right-hand side here. Build your own bundle, which I'll be honest, I'm trying to shrink the slides down. I would have put an example of that in as well. But sometimes people will literally say like, okay, an outfit costs £100. Choose your hat, your t-shirt, your jumper, your trousers, your trainers, and that's £100 or $200 or whatever. And there are some really good clothing companies doing that. And I love the kind of buy more, pay less as well. So actually, if you buy 3 products, they've all got a 10% discount now. So you pay less for each product, but you're getting 3 of them. Now, this example on the right-hand side, anyone who's super acute will see that the pushchair costs £849 just for the pushchair. And then there are 2 options. One's a 4-piece bundle, one's a 6-piece bundle, which is cheaper than the pushchair. And this is part of our client's strategy for bundling and doing what I would describe as incredibly smart pricing, that someone's now buying a 4-piece bundle. Now, what actually happens next on the website, and also happens through their email campaigns if the user doesn't use it during the initial purchase, is some of those items in the bundle can also be upgraded. And there are also additional accessories you can add in for some of the additional things they've provided in the bundle. So if you do go for the bundle, that carry case, you can get upgrades for it. You can buy a blanket to go in it. You can upgrade the actual mattress that's in there for the baby to be on. So there's upsells and cross sells all over the place here, and it's really smart. But what user is not going to go for the 4-piece bundle now and then say what an amazing deal they got on Mamas and Papas and tell all their friends? So it works across the board, this example. Kieran Finch, absolutely love the Kieran Finch website. Anyone who came to we did a smaller webinar than this, Rob and I, on CRO in December, and I used literally this exact slide. Shop the look. So I'm looking at a pair of trousers. I can buy the blazer, I can buy the shirt, and I can also buy the belt with it as well, which is really powerful. What's great is they've actually got the drop downs. So you can just click a drop down, choose your size on each of those different things as well, and add them straight in without even leaving this page. You can add all of those straight into your cart. And then this is something I ordered yesterday ahead of my event tomorrow, some business cards. So I thought I'd include this one because it was so fresh in my mind. Solo Press, a printing company I've been using here in the UK for probably about 15 years now. They do next stage lyric and everything. They're absolutely brilliant. And the fact I remember those things is all part of their conversion rate optimization. I always buy more on their website than I went on there to purchase. I actually went on to purchase 2 banners, and there I was buying 4 different types of business cards. But you can see the pricing model here. It's so simple on a table. And it's, I think from a coloring point of view as well, it's so easily highlighted that you can see I'm clearly going for the 2470 option. So so if I was ordering them yesterday, when I took a screenshot of this, they'd arrive, if I'm ordering them today, they would arrive tomorrow on Wednesday. I'm ordering 500 of them. But how smart is the pricing as well here with this upsell, this cross sell, of actually trying to get me to purchase more? Because, you know, if I go £5 more and I go from 250 to 500, another £6 and I go from 500 to 1,000, and I had to put the brakes on my own thought process with this and go, I just need 250. I think I ordered for each person in my team. So back to you, Ben.
Thank you. So we're here talking about going beyond your USPs. So what I mean by this is, as Nick said, and as I opened up with, is this problem solution piece. And let's say your competition are doing something similar. How are you going to really kind of add that 0.01% to make yourself a little bit different? So this is a longer term strategy around your conversion rate, but it's designed to help, again, build lifetime customer value. So they're coming back. Ultimately, they're coming back and you haven't paid for them. So lowering that customer acquisition cost, because that's the key piece. That's where your big spend is. And there are loads and loads of tactical ways of doing this, and this is just one way. So beyond those unique selling points of your product, which are hopefully going to hook in your customers, we need to do a little bit more. And so with this is essentially leaning on environment and social kind of governance, essentially, or being a bit more positive to people on planet through your e-commerce operations. So if we jump into the next slide, some examples as per on the previous slide, there are apps that can allow you to do this. So this is some real simple plug and play stuff. So we saw Verdant on the previous slide, we've got GreenSpark, we've got Virtue here. So these apps are all designed around essentially giving back to the environment or giving back to social causes, either paid for by the brand or asking the customer to lean into that space too. And they're really well kind of visualized and documented and automated as well. So for example, Green Spark at the top, you can, when an order is placed, it automatically plants 5 trees, sends the customer a certificate, and you can track how many trees are being planted monthly as a business. And then Virtual Impact, you can do something at checkout where if you want to, for example, get to free delivery, give some money to this cause, and they'll give money to that cause, and you can see it kind of tracking and growing as you go. So it's a really nice way of essentially adding that little bit extra, which will stick in your customers' minds. So Vita Coco, they're a B Corp, and we know, I'm sure everyone knows what being part of the B Corp is and the movement it provides, and that space they will work in. But it's then adding on, what are they doing in that B Corp world? So Vita Coco have gone through to develop pages that are literally designed around just educating that customer and showing the good that they're doing and giving back. And again, that helps with those customers really gravitate towards that brand, and they're going to be like, I'm choosing this brand over the other brand because they just want that little bit extra. And it doesn't have to be as extreme or as big as the B Corps like Vita Coco, who are doing big things like planting tree plantations and building schools. That's not possible for everybody. There's other ways of doing it as well. So with Days Brewing, a client of ours, they are doing what they call Days Duty, which is a really nice way to kind of pull together a creative name for giving back. So they're donating 2% of all sales to mental health initiatives, which is really interesting in their concept because they're an alcohol-free beer and they are providing money towards charities to help people who have mental health issues, most likely from alcohol consumption and so on. So there's a really nice space that they're playing in, and again, customers feel connected to this. And so this longer term strategy, but as I say, is plug and play for most of them. You can switch on and start growing over time. And one little piece I've just put in here is you just got to be careful not to greenwash. The key thing in this, though, and you will get caught out if you do it, is if you're not following through and being transparent and clear, your customers will see that too. So you will risk losing them as much as gaining them when you're doing it right.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. And number 6, we're just over halfway now, is one of my favorite ones is subscribe and save. And apologies, I'm not as good a designer as Ben is, which is why I've made this little slide on the right-hand side. But anyway, this is super simple. I'm not going to go into tons of detail what subscriptions are because we all know. On the right-hand side there, yeah, you do a single order, start working for the next order. And I've put it in amber because that's quite a hard, painful process of lots of emails trying to get the customer to come back on the website, browse the website, consume some content, put something in a cart, purchase it. And we're talking about how to make more of that happen today because it's such a problem. And that's why so many of you guys have probably turned up to this. And a small percentage of people will actually order a second or third or fourth time. And we're trying to do stuff to improve that. And that's great. But actually, if you're able to, and I've got an example of a non-subscription brand that does subscriptions as well, you'll be pleased to hear, because there are some creative ways you can do this. So yeah, somebody starts a subscription, they automatically order again because they're subscribed. So what you're trying to do now is actually gently upsell to multiple products or try and get them to put more in their subscription basket. That's the game here. So coffee's an easy one. It's renowned for subscriptions. We all drink gallons of it every single day to keep us awake because we're adults and we have jobs and it makes us very tired. So we drink lots of coffee, and coffee companies, almost all of them, will do exactly what this is doing. It was $29, but if you subscribe and you save a load of money, you get 20% off. Nice and simple. Vitamins as well. So Holland & Barrett here, exactly the same sort of thing, is on the right-hand side. And I'm sure Ben could improve the UX of this, but I thought it was quite a nice, simple, just an outline of like, okay, people take vitamin D tablets every day, which my wife will tell me to take more vitamin D tablets. Subscribe and save, and you pay only £6.04 instead of $10.99. That's quite compelling. And you also get 40 rewards for life points with this purchase. Again, you can click on that, find out what that means. Now, here's one that's a little bit less common, and this is for a clothing brand called Clothes Doctor. Absolutely love these guys. And what Clothes Doctor have done is they've actually developed 2 products now that you can get on a subscription. So you're not subscribing to buying clothes, but on here, the first one is the Basil and Mandarin Leaf Ultimate Duo Box. So this is about making your clothes smell nice, which is great. And then also you've got these anti-moth warrior subscription box as well. So things to stop your clothes getting moths eating your clothes, which if anyone's ever found a moth in their wardrobe, it is actually devastating. I've witnessed it once in my life and never again. It was one of the worst days of my marriage because apparently it was my fault. But there you go. So there's 2 subscription products, which, like, if you're selling leather sofas or any leather product, leather care kits. You know, if you're selling a one-time razor that you're never going to need to replace, sell some shaving foam. Like, there's definitely associated products you could sell with it. And I think once somebody is on a subscription, you have their attention. They, within reason, have to receive your emails telling them that, like, their next box has been sent out. It's on its way. It has been delivered. Please review this box. Would you be interested in modifying or increasing the size of your box next time? So loads you can do within subscriptions. And we've actually on the podcast as well, on the Winning with Shopify podcast, had quite a few subscription businesses. I think it was nearly 18 months ago now. We had Recharge, which are one of the biggest Shopify apps on the Shopify App Store. And that is just a subscription app for Shopify stores to use to manage the actual subscription itself. And we had some of their merchants on where we were interviewing about how they're doing subscriptions. And the most exciting thing I personally found was subscriptions where you wouldn't expect to find a subscription. I think clothing is a really good example of that as well.
Yeah, it is. The subscription space is really good fun and interesting. But customers aren't going to subscribe if they can't find it. So here we are for search and filtering. Nice little segue there.
Very smooth. I like that.
Search and filter, it sounds simple, and it can be, and it should be. And quite often it's overlooked, which shocks me a little bit. But sometimes that's through limitations within themes or the way products have been set up. There's solutions to fix it, but we're going to talk about obviously what those kind of like actions are in terms of the solutions to get it working well. So simple things. This is athleisure brand Tallow or Talo. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I've just screenshot this one because it's just very, very clear and how that filter works. So you've got all the key things that customer needs to know to find the product they're looking for. Because the key thing around filtering is, particularly if you've got a large product range, we don't want to have it hidden away on page 3, 4, 5. You know, customers have different needs all the time and different wants, and merchandising page 1 is important, as is merchandising all the other pages, but you're not going to get everything you want on page 1. And that's always a question we're asked time and time again, is how can we, you know, improve that merchandising across our listing pages? First answer we always have is make sure you've got a filter, and it's simple stuff: sizes, colors, types. If you're a high volume brand that stuff goes out of stock, you know, you can show stock out of stock items. Reason being, if you've implemented a notify me for out of stock, that customer can sign up, get a notification, back in stock, they can purchase it straight away. So simple ways to, you know, make sure you capture that sale even if you don't have the product right now. Building your database too, perfect timing. And then a few more examples here, and these are different ways of merchandising, educating, visualizing, search, product pages, collection pages, and just products in general. So far left, you move a dog supplement and dog food, let's say dog supplement company. So this is a search. This is a simple search I did. I just put in the word dog, and most of their products are for dog. So you'd expect probably hundreds of search results, but they've made this really, really simple. We've got the ability to obviously type into a search box, nice and simple, and it takes over the page. So your focus is just on your results. And then they've broken it down into products. And you can see in here, we've got 32 more products in that search result. But instead of overwhelming you with 32, I guarantee they're merchandising that search result by relevance, be it bestseller, be it, I don't know, on sale, whatever it might be. And then you've got further content down. You can see you can scroll down that page because you've got a vertical bar on the right-hand side that indicates there's more below. And you've got the categorization of then pages. There's probably educational pieces around your dog, what your dog needs to have, and so on. And that's all just through a simple search. Again, that just filters that customer to the right product and helps them get there quicker, because this is ultimately designed around stopping that customer bouncing off, which basically means that customer is leaving your website and you've probably spent some money on getting them there. They're frustrated they couldn't find it. And then that costs you a bit for someone to have a bad experience. Not good. In the feel example in the middle, I really like this one. It's super simple. The shop by health goal. This goes back to that problem solution architecture we talked about. So it's a health goal, but then we just categorize it with a carousel that you can scroll through. So you've got skin and anti-aging, you've got hair, you've got loads of other kind of health goals in there. So it makes it really easy, and you can again merchandise those as you wish. And then finally, I think the second time we've got Hoxton in here. This one is a listing page. And this highlight is the iconography at the top with the naming. A lot of these products on this page all look the same. They're selling MacBook Pros, iMacs, and so on. Ultimately, there's no visual difference between that 13-inch and the other 16-inch on that page. They might be a slightly different color, but ultimately they look the same. So how can we help that user to navigate through? We've obviously got the listing of that page, but at the top, those icons can quickly get people to, for example, in this instance, screen sizes. So if they want to see a collection page by screen size, they can tap up on there. And you can merchandise that page by using meta fields and Shopify to display what you want specifically on each page. So nice and simple, easy to use, and you can manage it yourself.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. And I just want to add quickly, sorry, just checking what the next slide was. I can see at least a handful of client names, as in our clients who are tuning into this, where we've had this filter and search. If I just go back to the last one, where we've had this conversation from an SEO point of view, literally about these pages. And I think one of the biggest things that's actually come up, which I'm sure you've tackled as well in the past, Ben, is actually page load and how much weight the page has. And where I'm going with that in layman's terms is like, does it take 2 seconds to load? Does it take 10 seconds to load? So the more products you have listing on a page, the longer it's going to take, but you then get more content. And so in SEO, we've been doing tests on a few sites now, balancing those things, going, okay, if we just display 6 products or 8 products with pagination or load more button or something, do we get a better SEO ranking because the page is faster, or do we get a lower SEO ranking because we've now got less content on there, but we've also got less keyword stuffing because every single product in that page is going to have the word MacBook in it as well. So yeah, just thought I'd add my 2 cents on, actually is something that does come up quite a lot. But anyway, we're going to change gear completely now, post-purchase. So someone's bought something, and most websites basically stick 2 fingers up to you at this point and say goodbye, which I think is a massively missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity to make more money, and it's a missed opportunity to get some incredible learnings to make more money. So we'll come on to what these learnings are in a minute. But certainly, I've seen post-purchase surveys pop up, and we've got a couple in a second, that say like, how did you find us today? And that one, it honestly drives me mad. I don't know if, and Rob's heard me rant about this before. I don't know if, Ben, if you've had the same thing, but it's like, if you've got Google Analytics or Shopify Analytics or any sort of analytics for that matter, you know where they've come from. So why on earth are you asking them, the least educated marketeer or digital analytical person? You're asking them how they got there. And one of the options is always the internet. And it's like, no way, you found my e-commerce website through. So I think there's smarter questions. And the 2 I put on here is, was there anything you couldn't find today? And whatever you answer to that, it goes, someone from our customer service team is going to call you in 10 minutes. Or actually, would you like that product today? Because we can probably find it or get it for you. And it starts a conversation on live chat or something like that. And then, and the second point here is in response to that is you phone them or use AI to show the product with a window to attach before dispatch, which I've got on this lovely example here. And not only do I let this on a demo store that a friend of mine set up to do stuff like this, and I asked him very nicely, can I use your screenshots? And he said, yes. So we've got Groot from Marvel there. And someone's put Groot in their cart. And you see the first screenshot in the middle, the one without Groot. On that one there, it says you get 30% off if you buy in the next 10 minutes. So your order's confirmed, but you can get 30% off any of those products if you order in the next 10 minutes. And then when we get to Groot, you've also got this reorder now. So actually you can get a second one with 15% off. So it's saying, although you've ordered, here's a massive discount if you increase your order number right now, which, going back to what you said earlier, Ben, you're absolutely spot on. Someone clicking that and getting a 15% or 30% discount, that is way cheaper than paying. As someone who runs Google ad campaigns, it's going to be way cheaper than paying Google ads or paying Meta ads or somebody to drive a new customer and try and acquire a new customer. So I think that's really, really smart, a really good way to do this. and this is the one that grinds my gears, is the how did you hear about us today? It does start to build a bit of an engagement story, though. It does start to build a little bit of a bit of a relationship between the customer and the brand, which is good. But as I say, if they just put Google and hit submit, was it surfaces? Was it a shopping ad? Was it a text ad? Was it your SEO listing? Was it an image? Was it a news article that popped up and then you found us? Was it that you Googled something 35 minutes ago and then you've gone through a whole load of links and sites, found one of our SEO listings on a news article, and coming through that, you've just said Google? So it doesn't really help us at all. So I think that post-purchase thing, either ask a really smart question or actually try and push another product at the customer at that point.
So we're moving over to social proofing in UGC. So in these examples, you'll see I've taken a lot of the supplement space. I'm really interested in this space, take it myself, and maybe I take them because I'm suckered in by essentially what they're doing here, which is proofing themselves, and they're doing it really well. So influences sales. Maybe I've been influenced. It's rich, unique, converting content. What I mean by that is it's not fake. You know, it's provided in terms of the user-generated content by that user. So there is a bit more trust again in there. That's been a keyword, I guess, so far through these 9 points. Trust has come up quite a bit. And you provide that credibility, and it can help accelerate growth. So this example here, Space Goods, they're on a bit of a rocket ship. And they are ticking all the main boxes you need to do in terms of proofing your products. So they're seen in press. They've got 125,000 happy customers. It's pretty good. And then they've got some great video content, UGC content from their existing customers they've scraped using, and there's many apps to do this, using an app and then presenting it on their own site. So if we flip into the next page, we've got some more examples of how this can happen in different spaces. On the left, we've got a sofa brand called Cosmo, and it's just a simple use of the press in a ticker tape banner scrolling left to right below the shop now button. It's not overpowering, because I think sometimes that can happen when brands are using the press logos to kind of cement their credibility as they're big, they're brash, they're in your face, and then it kind of loses that credibility a little bit. So it's matching up that kind of design aesthetic with the USPs, the proofing, just to have that good balance. Dirty in the middle, this is just an example of reviews, which is so important. Ultimately, if anyone's buying something, they're probably going to read the reviews. What really annoys me with reviews is when people leave reviews for delivery. Leave that for some other time. That's not the brand's problem all the time. I want to read about the products, and if you can incentivize with your customers to help them help you, i.e. leaving a good review, which you can do with using plug and play apps, you can really scrape some good, detailed, rich information around the product, which is ultimately going to help conversion. Let's be clear, if you haven't got a good product, you're going to find it very hard to convert anything. That's first and foremost. But if you've got a good product, you need to then, rely on your customers to educate them. So we're starting to scrape that data and then represent it to the customers. Amazon obviously do it very well. We all know about the Amazon review section. We've all read it, and we've probably made purchases simply because someone's left a good review and avoided the bad ones because this product's crap. That's what reviews are there for. And then finally, this days on the right-hand side is just a nice blend of presenting reviews, presenting your press, all above the fold, killing a couple of birds with one stone here, keeping it clean, top highlighted pieces. And then there's other review places you can go to. So as I said, there's lots of apps for reviews. There's one kind of I think, bigger player in the game, which is Trustpilot, which definitely has the SEO weight, which we always recommend to have, as well as probably another review app from Yotpo to reviews.io and so on, because it just helps bring in that qualified traffic through search, and reviews can do that. So yeah, this is an example of how it can be used in multiple different places, and it doesn't have to be over the top and everywhere all the time.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. And right, final point, and this is a confession I'm going to make publicly as an SEO expert. I've decided to call it content fatigue. So in SEO, as Rob said earlier, we're always trying to chuck as much content in as possible. The more words, the better. The more pictures, the better. The more videos, the better. And can we have a 99 out of 100 page speed, please? And it makes web developers have a heart attack. And we're fully aware of that. So we've got much better here at Spec over the years in communicating with people about the things we're trying to achieve and testing page speed whilst doing it, whilst also testing all the other things we're talking about today, like conversion rates and lifetime value as a result of publishing a piece of content. So I would always recommend doing some sort of split test. So as Ben said earlier, if you can kind of go, let's go kind of level 3, as I would call it, super detailed, which is the top version on the right, and let's go super streamlined, which is the bottom version on the right-hand side of the same statement. And ask your customers what makes them tick and why they buy from you. And Ben kind of hinted that earlier, as well as I think I did as well. It's so important to ask customers the right questions, not how did you find us today, but ask them like, what do you use this product for? Is always one of the most insightful things. And I've seen founders either have one of two reactions at that point. One of them goes, wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize people could use my product for that. And another one cries going, that's not what it's for, but that's what everyone's using it for. And so the end of the day, you got to go, am I going to target that group and actually support that group with what we're doing or not? And my example on the right-hand side is like the big paragraph on the right. You can read it if you want. It basically just says 99% of customers told us that it's perfect for the living room. We like it. But in a long about way. And I did make that up, but I found plenty of versions on websites where it was actually as long as that. But certainly with content, I mean, work with somebody like Ben or like us to actually do some content trimming, as I like to call it, take out all the words you don't need to get the message across quicker. But in the right place, actually, there are ways to display quite essay heavy and comprehensive content, which could be on a blog post, which is breaking things into bullet points and sections. And like we've done with this slide deck, we've broken it into 10 simple points. If we'd done this in a Word deck and, Word doc and just shared it and scrolled through, you all would have dropped off. And from what I can see, pretty much nobody's dropped off since the moment we started, and we're 56 minutes in. So that's an example where it's way too much, and the one at the bottom might actually not be enough, but it's straight and simple, straight to the point. So we used to work with this company. We don't anymore, which is why I can use this example as it's not publicly available anymore. But we used to work with a company called Split the Bills. And the idea of Split the Bills is students could all sign up and it would split whatever stuff they'd all agreed to, which went from like gas, electricity to Sky Sports to TV license. Split the Bills would pay all those bills for them and charge all the people in the house on a direct debit individually. No more chasing your housemate. So simple challenge, simple solution. They created a massive archive of useful content for students, first-time buyers of utilities. So first-time buyers of gas, first-time buyers of electricity, that kind of thing. On paper, it made sense. Students didn't care or read it. And this was something we had put forward from Spec as an SEO recommendation. Customer services even started sending links out to the articles, and we put tracking on those links to see if people had clicked on them to go, here's how to take a gas or gas meter reading. No one had clicked it. We clearly had got the messaging or communication completely wrong with this, although on paper it looked like a good SEO exercise. And actually the people that were actually landing on our articles were not students, they were not in house shares, so they weren't relevant to us at all. So we tested 15 different changes, and the one that worked was video content from celebrities. So they challenged a few celebrities back in the day to actually go and get a meter reading in their own house or apartment. And if anything, students were fascinated to see what sort of house or apartment each celebrity had, but then also seeing them trying to get a gas meter reading. Some of them knew what they were doing and were quite savvy. Some of them didn't have a clue, which we all found quite amazing. But that really, really hit home. I've got a couple of quick examples here as well. One's with Tentree, who we've had them on the podcast a couple of times. Absolutely love their brand. Carefully selected content on a product page. So they are trying to plant 1 billion trees at the moment, and they're a pretty good way into doing that as well. And they've set a target on when they're going to do it by. So it's a very clear mission statement. It's a very clear why buy from them. But they built this bit of content, sustainability equals transparency, with like you were showing earlier, Ben, with a read more. So like those product examples on the site search, it gives you a sample of it and you can go and read the whole thing if you want, but carefully selected content in this case. And this is my teaser that Rob says I can leave you with. This is a product description. I'm 99% sure it's been copy and pasted from the manufacturer's website. Please don't Google it, but we're about to break for coffee, but do put a message in the chat or on the Q&A. Guess how much this product's worth with such a comprehensive description. But we breaking for coffee now, Rob?
Yeah, I think now's a good time. Hopefully everyone got a chance to see that, Nick, before you move. But yeah, we don't want anyone
There we
copying and
go.
pasting it into Google. Just we're looking at just generally the size of the content there. How much do you think that product is worth based on the amount of content or the amount of waffle that you've got to get through to actually find the price? But yeah, lovely. So we're gonna have a quick break. We'll come back. Let's do 5 minutes, I think, so we can sort of get on with the Q&A. I think that's the end of the slides, actually. So perfect timing, guys. You've done really well. So yeah, get your questions ready. Please do fire them in through the Q&A. I've had some coming through during the webinar, which is great. Thank you. We had some questions from before during the sign up as well. So I've got some of those ready as well. So please do fire through anything. I've actually lined up some questions as well based on what you guys were talking about. So looking forward to it. So see you all in about 5 minutes. We'll come back at just before 5 past. Thanks, everyone. Hi everyone, welcome back. We'll give it a couple of minutes just for those who maybe still making their coffees. But yeah, thank you everyone so far for joining. It's been a really insightful webinar so far. We've had some really great points, and as we said, if anybody would like a copy of the, sorry, just doing a bit of admin while we're going. If anybody would like a copy of the slides or they'd like a recording, please do drop your name and email into the Q&A. We've had quite a few come through. Those have been noted. So as soon as it's ready, we'll have to do a bit of prepping of the webinar, sort of trim the edges sort of thing, make it look nice. But as soon as that's ready, we will send them out.
I think that might be
Lovely.
our record number of people asking for slides as well. So well done, everyone. It's good to see you want to do some homework. So yeah, very impressed.
Yeah, well, I think hats off to Ben as well, because the design on his slides are far better than anything I could have produced. So that's his design skills coming through. So yeah, if you do need a branding and development agency, 11 is the agency to go to.
Very kind.
Cool. So I think let's go on with the questions. We did say sort of 5 minutes past, so hopefully everyone will start catching up with us. We had one question come through right at the very start. So thank you very much. I will call you out because we do know them. Verity, thank you so much for sticking around and for holding out and waiting for your question, because it was a great question, but I thought it was one that we wanted to call out for everybody. So Ben, this actually came through sort of in one of your earlier slides, and I think we were talking about testing, A/B testing, and things like that.
Sorry, Rob. I just remembered one more thing. Should we share what the answer was to the?
Oh, question? Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure everyone's raring to find the answer.
I should also shout out our colleague here at Spec, Daisy. She was the one who found this as well. Let me just share this up on the screen again. But yeah, if you guys want, I'll plug Daisy's podcast. Well, she's on the Winning with Shopify podcast. She's on Friday. So if you want to check out who the genius behind this question is, Friday we'll be posting that on all channels. But yeah, guess the price. We've had a few people sending stuff in. No one's got it quite right. Everyone's gone a little bit too high on this, I'm afraid, which is kind of what we were trying to get at. So the answer was £1. This is a £1 packet of seeds from Poundland. And if I just shoot back, this is we thought we'd name and shame Poundland because we all love them so much. So we can lose a tiny bit of love and still love them. But obviously copied from the manufacturer. It's absolutely massive list of information. Whereas I actually think the image does more justice for me, just telling me that like I can grow these, 8 things in my garden with this £1 packet of seeds, and it's in stock. Thank you very much.
So I think echoing something that was said in the office earlier on when we were looking at that was make it easy for the user. I think that's a lot of things that, Ben and Nick have been talking about today. User experience, how easy is it for the customer trying to get into their frame of mind? If they're just looking for some seeds, maybe you're upselling it, they're not going to read all of that information. They just want to get to, how much is it? What does it do?
Sorry, Verity, I interrupted the answer to your question.
We'll get there. We will get there eventually. Yeah. So Ben, this was aimed towards you, but obviously Nick, chime in if you have some thoughts. What low-cost Shopify apps would you recommend for page testing?
Good question. And really, there's only one we've used, and that's Shoplift, as in not the naughty thing you do if you're stealing something, but same name. Shoplift. It's a really simple app. It runs in the customizer of your Shopify store. You don't need to know too much. You don't need to know much code at all to deliver it. There are some higher ends of use within its ecosystem, but it's pretty simple. It's low cost. I can't remember. I'm literally just Googling it now. I think it starts from like $20 per month, maybe, and I think it's probably most likely triggered by or capped with traffic numbers. But very, very simple. Ultimately, you're just making duplicate themes, and then you can set the kind of A/B traffic weighted however you like from whatever channel of traffic. That's the only one we've had experience with and would recommend. Because in previous to that, we have worked with people like Nick and his team and other teams who focus in that space where Google provided that service with.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Yes, rest in peace indeed.
And a question from me, sorry to jump the queue, but I do have sort of the ability to do so, so I'm going to. There was a question that I sort of came up with during, and Ben, it was one of your points, but Nick, I'm actually going to pose it to you, and obviously Ben, do chime in. what is the best way to find a client's pain point? Sorry, the customer's pain points. So you were talking about like the descriptions and sort of trying to get over those barriers and trying to resonate with the customer in regards to those pain points. So what are some good ways that I could potentially find those pain points?
Yeah,
sorry, Nick. Nick, I'll go to you first, and then Ben. Yeah, I'd love you to chime in.
I want to hear Ben's thoughts as well. I'll say what I know, and if you want to fill in any blanks, then Ben and extra bits. So I honestly find it mad how big some businesses have got, and some of my clients as well. Sorry, I said our clients. You're here as well, Rob. So our clients at Spec, how big they've got not talking to customers. And I used to play a game where I used to literally say to people like, "Who's your target customer?" Write on the piece of paper in front of you. Everyone in the room would write it down. I then share the real customer on the screen using Google Analytics or using a tool that could analyze the email segmentations, for example, and go like, okay, most people have female names and you all think most of your customers are men. You're completely wrong. And so I think there's ways you can do it with data like that, which is quite simple and obvious. I think you can obviously send out some sort of survey. I'd be really careful with surveys and the questions you ask. When I'm doing any kind of questioning, whether it's like talking to a new brand ahead of pitching to them, and I want to find out all the information I need to find out of, like, which is exactly the same thing you're trying to find about your customers. What is this brand's pain point that I can solve, or my team can come in and solve comprehensively, and also challenge them? Do we even think this is the most important thing? If that is solved, is their actual goal going to be achieved or not? Because some people will say like, we just need a new website, it looks awful. And it's like, bad looking websites can convert really well. And that's like the worst thing that Ben and I can hear. It's when you look at some sites, you're like, who's buying from this thing? And you check the conversion, you're like, 10%, where's that come from? And there's like, the other 90% are signing up to email. And you're like, what is going on here? But they're giving away a free product. So actually the UX has been trumped by just an incredible offer. So I think be really careful with the questions you ask. And long way of saying that, what I like to do is actually work backwards and go, what do I need to know? I need to know what the customer uses the product for, because I'm going to drive all my imagery and stuff with that. I need to know what led them to buy it. What was the first thing that triggered the research phase? And when we look at what's called the marketing funnel, you start in that top bit. What actually triggered somebody? Like, was it some physical pain? Was it some emotional pain? Was it some FOMO, which you've mentioned quite a few times, Ben? Like, I'm going to miss out on something if I don't buy this new product. Or did they just see something in the street and go, like, literally the trainers I'm wearing right now, one of my colleagues, Lee, was wearing some really cool white trainers. And I was like, I want to get me some of them. I'm at an age where I can't wear high tops anymore. And I love high top trainers. I'm going to get me some of them. And I did. And my wife, she doesn't love them. But I have bought them. And that's what triggered that kind of research phase, which I started looking at, of like, I don't want to buy the same ones because it's my colleague, but I do want to get some cool trainers. And so and I told him, like, you led me to buy these. And he took one look and went, they're whiter than mine. I need to clean my trainers. And so you see there was a whole emotive side to it. The research phase started. So I think talking to customers is really key. And we had this guy called John from a brand called BattleBox on the podcast a while ago. He's quite a high flying CEO. They have their own Netflix series, which is quite rare for a brand to have, which is quite cool. It's all about survival, because they sell survival kit, stuff you would use in the wild, like camping equipment, that kind of thing. So, and they've got their own Netflix series. He's amazing. And I said, how do you talk to your customers on the podcast? And what he literally said to me is, he said he sits in customer service a day a month. He answers the phone. Like, next call that comes in, he's like, bang, right, hello, how can I help today? And he doesn't say, hey, I'm the CEO. But he just talks to people on the ground, and he takes that back to the boardroom. Hey guys, this is what I've learned. Or a customer raised this the other day. I think we need to look at that, or at least quantify, is that an issue? Is that an issue we need to face? And I think talking to customers is really key. You can obviously look at reviews, and there's lots of data available digitally, but that conversation, if you could talk to like 50 customers back to back, the questions you ask the 50th customer should be so far advanced from the ones you asked the first customer, because you went, that question didn't give me any kind of answer, or this one is such a direct, like, why did you buy it? But I didn't believe their answer. Or actually, I thought they don't really know. So I need to ask different questions to try and help them with me work out why they bought the product. But Ben, any other thoughts?
No, yeah, a couple of thoughts, but I mean, your point was my main point. Talk to the customers. I mean, they are the ones buying that product. I'd say on top of that, around kind of finding out what those problems are, if you're working, like, say, from the back to the front, it's testing those USPs and seeing what really makes impact. I think you'll probably also find through your paid ad creative what's working, what's not. Good experience I had the other day was I got served a pretty crappy looking paid ad for mold removal, and it promised to get it off.
We haven't got any mold removal clients. Good.
And it promised to get it off, and I was like, okay, that looks good. And I clicked through, crap website. I mean, like, it hurt my eyes, but I bought it. And you know what? They upsold me for 2, and I used it, and the product was brilliant, and it worked perfectly. And that, they're probably looking at that data from that ad, and they're like, something in there's a hook that works really well. So there's probably another, like, look at your other channels as well. So what's actually creating hits, click-throughs, what's key search terms. That's probably another way of looking at it. And then the final one is one we did very recently for a brand we just onboarded, and we had a very quick sprint to deliver some work for them. We didn't have the time to do the talk to the customer, interview with the stakeholders, so we just scraped their reviews and got a log into their review platform and just did some keywords scraping, and that pretty much painted a perfect picture of why people are using their products, and that then gave us the foundations for the problem solution piece. So that was a quick fire way of doing it.
Just to add one point, which is probably like an
Funny.
extension on, like, almost like going on to a completely different question, but I think relates to all of this, is I think, like you say about the mold removal, and my first thing in my head was like, oh, you can have so much fun with a mold removal brand, like in terms of the branding and the color schemes and everything. But then actually, one of the things I've certainly noticed is I think brands sometimes get too playful in their branding that actually you then don't trust it. Like medical products, I think there has to be a really careful way of making a medical product fun. And I think you can go completely over the top with that. And my team know that we've had a situation like that where we've actually found out that it's a much older demographic buying the product than we have targeted at, which actually means a lot of the jokes and tongue-in-cheek stuff that they've written on the site just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And the less we're using that, the more money we're making. And I think on the flip side, that mold removal company, it sounds like they've got absolutely no playfulness whatsoever. But as you say, a brilliant product. But what happens when somebody else goes, oh, I'm going to make the same product and put a better brand and a better website on it? Their business is falling apart.
Exactly. And that's the point around the lifetime customer value. In a good website will help people remember who I literally can't remember the name of that website. I can remember it looking chaotic, but that's about it. But I don't know what search terms I'm going to put to find that brand name. But from the naming strategy through to those conversion pieces right through the checkout, those are the bits they're going to get the customers to come back.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go through some of the questions that we had when you first signed up. A lot of the questions, also you were asked to leave a couple of questions for us. I won't shout out where you're from, but I will drop your first name, just so if you are still with us, then you'll know that it was your question. So the first one that came through from Jason saying, my conversions are low. 0.36%. Ouch. Yeah, he is really struggling there. Are there any tools, he has said tips as well, that I could use to help this number go up substantially? So hopefully, Jason, you picked up a couple of tips from the guys today. Are there any tools that might do some of this conversion rate optimization for us, or do we have to do old school hard work? I'll put that one to Ben first.
Any tools? Well, we spoke about shoplift, A/B testing. That's a great way to do it. I guess go to the basics, right? Don't know what products you've got, but subscriptions. I would start there. If you can get subscriptions running on your store, fantastic. We spoke about reviews. We would probably want to look at native Shopify, the search and discovery. So get your search and discovery through the search bar working. You can set relevant search terms and relevancy. So if someone's putting in, I don't know, blue paint, they might get another select of blues within that search result. And what else I'd say, just trying to think of some of the apps we put in recently on some brands. There's a nice little app called Upsell, which again is costed per traffic, and that allows you to target specific products on collections or on product pages that you can upsell into the basket. You can do that on the product page, you can do it in the cart drawer and on the cart page as well. Oh, and they also do a post-purchase sale as well, which allows you the customer not to have to put back in your credit card details post-sale. It's still in that window where they can quickly add on that last forgotten product. There are ones off the top of my head.
Cool. So a lot of these apps you can sort of just set up and sort of do your best to optimize it to make sure that it's clear and doing what you want it to do, and then seeing how it improves. And I guess that's, Nick, where you're sort of banging on the door about testing
Yep.
to sort of try these things. And if it doesn't work, adapt it, maybe one at a time. Don't do it all in one go.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of hypothesizing ideas without knowing what the site is.
I know.
But a lot of people are in that kind of boat, and I think I've had slightly longer to think about it while you've been talking, Ben. I think a few things I'd add, and I think your list is brilliant, Ben. I'd probably recommend almost all of those items just straight off the bat. I think the one you mentioned about cross sell or upsell, I found it really beneficial to use an AI based tool for that. We've installed Nosto on a client site recently. And be honest, it was a bit of a long process to get it installed, get the client to sign up, justify the cost of it. But that every recommended product, or like, you're looking at this, do you want this one? The way that the products are filtered in collections, etc. Nosto is now driving the AI of that. And something that's quite cool with AI is if you get the right tool, it will already know loads about your customer before they've even arrived on the site, because it would have seen them on other websites. So when they arrive, it'll know, okay, this person tends to spend more or less than your average order value. So I'm going to put more expensive products or cheaper products, or it might know that if I put 4 products in front of you and 2 are cheap and 2 are expensive, they're going to click on one of the 2 expensive ones. But if I just put 4 expensive, they won't click on any of them. It will learn all these little, and that's what AI is there to do, is to make all these kind of machine learning decisions very, very quickly. The only other thing I'd say, which is almost taking a complete sidestep, a bit like your example with subscriptions, what you could try is if people just aren't converting, offer them something that is once in a lifetime, game changing, and completely free if they sign up to your email. So what it could be is, like, say you're a skincare brand, it could be this is the new daily skincare routine to clear up acne on your face, and it costs nothing. Sign up to our newsletter here. And all you've done is create a little sequence and flow. You've now got their email. You can now start pushing products and going, so here's day one. But if you wanted to try our product on day one, it does this, this, and this. Click here to buy that. And if you buy it, we'll pause the email sequence until after it's arrived. That's all really simple. It's in Klaviyo or Seguno, whatever email platform. It's just very simple decision tree methodology. And if that doesn't work, at least you've tried. My thing is always a rule of 10. Do 10 things and at least one should work. And if you have to fail 9 times to find something that worked, you've now found something that worked. You've moved forward quite considerably with that. So I think that 0.3% conversion rate, what if you did get 2 to 5% of them signing up to this free email sequence, and then you get 10% of those guys signing up? Well, you've just increased your conversion rate quite significantly. It's just, you're not getting the sale today, but you have built a flow. So you can safely spend money on Google and Meta advertising and TikTok and whatever to drive people in to sign up to that flow. So I think flows have been really powerful for some of our clients, especially like in the more supplement medical space, where it's like, okay, I'm actually going to put this thing, in my body. I'm going to drink it. I'm going to maybe not inject it, but I'm going to do something with this thing. I'm going to rub it on my skin to try and solve a problem, or put it in my hair, like whatever the product is. Actually signing up to something that can build a bit more trust and show people like actual results of it working over a period of time, that can be really powerful.
And just to add on to that, for the kind of out-of-the-box solutions for Shopify, you've got flows built in. There are some basic email flow sequences that you can do without the use of Klaviyo. Klaviyo and other email CRMs are the way to go for that space.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps you, Jason. So good luck with that one. This next one from Simon, saying that the website, the company website, is built on an in-house corporate platform and lacks the investment of an off-the-shelf solution such as Shopify or Magento. It's very expensive to maintain and optimize, and it requires specialist offshore resources. I guess the developers are offshore. The core objectives of today's session is to look for small ideas that could be implemented in his world until such a time when they might be able to move over to Shopify. So obviously we are looking at a lot of like off-the-shelf, apps and plugins and things like that. So any thoughts of how they could sort of take some of these ideas with a more difficult, slightly older platform?
You want to go first?
Nick, maybe? I can jump in there on that one.
Yeah, cool.
I'd probably from the design point of view. So design psychology triggers through pages. Going back to slide 2 or 3 in the presentation, Nick highlighted the loyalty section at the bottom of a cart. And it was simple enough. It says what you can earn. It says you can learn more. That's a great way to start building people into that community. And they don't have to go and implement some sort of loyalty program running, but that idea of placing the right information in the right places to get people moving through the kind of funnel of that page is probably the first place I start. So that could be, again, we don't know what products these are. Let's just say it's the mold product, for example, and there's a quick anchor link down to how it works, or something specific to those needs. Or it could be imagery is another good place to look at. So again, Nick alluded to a nice piece around what that product's being used for, and essentially having imagery that clearly defines and showcases it in its natural state. So, headphones on someone's head, or in a travel case, those kind of pieces, how it charges, all those bits go to give that bit of narrative. And if people can't understand what you're selling, that mold piece, again, before and afters are really good ones at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of these, particularly in the paint space. We've got a paint client at the moment, and we're doing lots around like, my kitchen before, my kitchen after a bit of paint. And it's so simple, but it's like builds that emotiveness to go, "Oh, I really need to do my kitchen or paint the hallway," things like that. Again, with acne, before using this soap after, those are just simple content pieces you can apply to an existing wireframe of a website.
Yeah, I think it's some really powerful examples in there of just, you've already got text and imagery on the site, so why not update it? So I love that. I think one of the things we have done, and if it's the same Simon, I think it might be, then hello mate, good to see you. It's been a while. But one of the things we did with one client is they wanted to move to something like Shopify. And they were like, right, we want to kickstart the project. So we're just going to find £500,000, quite a big brand. Let's just go gung ho and get a really nice design, get an agency in, etc. So we said, all right, two things. Can we do these first? They only take 2 or 3 months. Number one, can we just optimize, exactly as you said, Ben, from a SEO and PPC point of view? Let's just optimize what's there. Let's just change the wording, change the naming. And we saw a nice little uplift in rankings, which was good. And it was even better because when we got to September to launch the site, everyone got really panicked, myself included, going, we're about to launch a new site and we're coming into peak. So we waited till February. So good job we'd had 5-6 months worth of SEO growth before peak. And so what I'm saying is there might be an option actually to try and actually fund the new website out of growth, and sometimes even get the FD or the founder or marketing director or whoever to actually sign in blood saying, yeah, if you can get us up to this revenue, then yeah, we'll do it. And now you've got quite a clear incentive, which then means the changes you're thinking of making all have some sort of relativity. So you go, right, we're not going to do that because that's a massive piece of work and we're going to have to rebuild it on the new site, but we will do this stuff off-site. And finally, my cheat, this is a cheat to all of this stuff, is Google Tag Manager. Bloody awesome. You can literally, we had a client who they couldn't modify their H1 tags. They were on Magento 2, terrible setup a website, and they know it, and they're trying to get funding for a new one at the moment. But yeah, they couldn't modify the H2 tags, so we did it in Tag Manager. And we just injected something that just goes, if it's got this word in the URL, which was the brand of car that this part was for, inject that into the H1 tag. So there's some super simple things you can actually do with Tag Manager. And equally, if you think the website's going to go in the bin, you've got that financial target, use Tag Manager or something similar, like even something like Unbounce, to just be building landing pages to get customers to sign up, and sometimes even just take stuff offline. Just be like, do you know what? Forget the website, forget the e-com store, give us a call, you shop over the phone, which Currys in the UK do really well. You can actually talk to an expert on, and you don't go on video as the customer, just the expert does. And you can literally have a conversation like you're on Zoom like this, and you can just say to them like, hey, I want to buy a new MacBook. And they're like, great, what kind of MacBook do you want to buy? And you say, well, I don't really understand the difference. They're like, what are you going to be using it for? And they actually kind of consult you through that process, put it all in your cart for you. It's called live shopping. Live shopping. I think Ghost Retail is one of the guys we've had on the podcast talking about that kind of thing. But I think there's some really good options for stuff like that, where you could just go, do you know what? Website's going in the bin. Let's just bolt on whatever we can, use whatever systems for page builders. Let's move our blog across to WordPress temporarily. Why not? Now we've got WordPress and we use a proper CRM system. But we've got a few clients that use bespoke platforms, and we spent a lot of time with their web guys explaining why we want to do something, what the uplift is. Everything has to be over justified because everything's a lot of work. So you have to justify why we want a meta description on every page. and we have to and if it doesn't have the uplift and we can't prove it, then the finger comes back at us and the marketing team. And so we do have to, there's a lot more kind of political minefield stuff to manage, whereas Shopify, yeah, you just click on the collection, start modifying. So yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah, and I think if you are part of a sort of a larger corporate business, which by the sounds of it you are, you probably do need to do a bit of that justifying. Quite a cool app is Microsoft Clarity. It works like Hotjar, completely free, and it gives you a lot of information as to how users are actually interacting with your site, where they're stopping, if there's any faults in JavaScript and things like that. Some really good things in there. You can plug that in via Google Tag Manager as well if you are struggling to get any development time. But that's really good, and that will help you paint a picture to your, the teams above to try and get that new site pushed through. But yeah, good luck to you, Simon. Cool. We'll do a couple more just so we don't sort of push too close to time. We had a challenge. This is from Rupal saying the challenge is how to analyze user behavior by conduct through analysis. Looking at like landing pages through tools like Google Analytics. So I guess they were just trying to identify pain points as well. So hopefully, Rupal, we probably don't need to focus on that one too much. I think we've spoken a lot about sort of where you can use, what you can use to find those pain points. Any other thoughts, I guess, Ben, on sort of how to analyze user behavior within the site? I guess back to the testing side of things.
Yeah, testing, Microsoft Clarity, you mentioned there. Good way to track it. They really are the key pieces. So not too much more from my side to add on that one.
Yeah, same as you, Nick.
I think the only thing I'd flag in analytics, which is slight sidestep from the question, but this is so powerful and often where we start when we're doing a CRO audit for anyone, is if you haven't got it set up the checkout process. So it shows you product views, add to carts, checkout views, purchases. And quite quickly, you just see that there's it's just like falling off the side of a cliff. And then like 0.1% of people actually go through and purchase. And it's quite painful. But the cool thing about that is you make a change as that point number 2, I think on our list, the first one I shared about like the add to cart process and doing something there. You then see more people that have added to cart and now purchasing, or you do something on the UX of the page like Ben's been showing, and now more people are adding to cart. And what you're trying to do is that whole funnel process, you're just trying to thicken it as much as you possibly can, which is really powerful. And I think that the key thing as well is to draw as many conclusions you can of every bit of data you see. So like you change something, now we're getting more add to carts, go, right, whatever we just changed, that has really incentivized our customers. But now let's check the customer data. Are we now attracting a different part of our user base as a customer than we used to be as well? Because one of my clients literally said this morning, like some of our long lifetime value customers, the ones that have been shopping with us for 10 years, they don't like the new imagery and videos and stuff on the site, to which one of my team said, but they're still buying. And it was like, yeah, actually there's a higher percentage of them buying, they're spending a bit more, but they say they don't like it. And you're like, that's an interesting piece of data, but we're definitely now attracting a new customer. And that was always the target, is we want a younger customer to be shopping with us for the next 50 years. And being completely honest, some of our current customers won't be with us in 50 years. They won't be with anybody, which is very sad. So yeah, we want to go for a younger customer base, but it's quite interesting. I thought that point this morning on it.
This is quite a cool one that's come from Keen. Keen says, being a multi-branded retailer of some particularly technical clothing and equipment, one of the biggest challenges we face is being able to display and communicate this to the customer in the clearest, most engaging way possible without overwhelming them, almost like your tea time teaser there, Nick, with the seeds. I guess what we're trying to find is that sweet spot between what is necessary for the brands and what the customer wants to be surfaced to encourage the purchase. Any advice you guys have got for Keen in that scenario?
Any first, Ben?
Ooh. Give me a minute. Let me come back to that.
Okay, I've got a really good example
on the
top of my mind, actually, which is TK Maxx. So we worked with TK Maxx for years as their SEO consultancy. And that was fascinating because we literally had the merchandising and buying managers fighting for real estate on the homepage. They basically were like, if my t-shirts or lamps or suitcases or whatever, they get displayed on the homepage, it gets sold. And that's exactly what I think, Keen, you're describing there, of like, we've got all these brands, we'd love to just sell all of them all the time, but the reality is we've got to focus on something. I think that AI tool, Nosto, I mentioned earlier, or there's lots of tools to do the same sort of thing. I think using something like that actually goes, we're going to display a different set of products to each customer. You can also tell the AI tool, like, I want to push this range. And then the more spaces you use those products, wherever there's a collection list or a recommended product. This product goes well with this, or shop more of this range, complete the look, all that kind of stuff. I think those are good examples actually of where you can push more of a diverse brand portfolio. But I guess going back to the customer, we've been talking about it constantly. Ask your customers, like, do you like the fact that we're multi-brands, or did you come to us to always buy Adidas? Because you only ever seem to purchase Adidas. You can check the purchase data first, but ask customers, like, do you like the fact we're a multi-brand retailer? And if they say yes, but everybody's shopping your top 3 brands and ignoring your other 100 brands, just stock one item from each of the 100 brands. So you've still got that messaging of, look at all these brands, but we know people are only going to buy those 3 from us. And actually you can just use it as a marketing message that people are reassured by it. That's great, but they're not actually making purchase decisions because of it. Yeah, Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been mulling over this one, and I think you mentioned around being technical and having that kind of uniqueness in their products. Maybe look at it instead of a brand vertical. So these brands do these things. Why don't we put at the top, shop by these things, i.e. waterproof, or I don't know,
hard wearing,
hard wearing, extra protection, UV, like that, and kind of essentially that's, it's a reclassification or filtering of how people want to find the products by a solution ultimately. So probably do that, would definitely help. And I think design work on the page, if you've got a lot of information, a real simple design tactic is tabbing or kind of foldering the key information. So this works on mobile and desktop, having the names of the specifics of the product. So it might be like, let's say, description, specifications, other needs to know, and you can just tab through those really quickly and easily. Obviously, highlight the key pieces at the top and maybe illustrate them through iconography, or put in some kind of tool tips where you can have an extra pop out to add that extra level of detail if those technical pieces really need it. Which also could potentially link to blogs, videos, any other kind of relevant content. And probably full circle all the way going back to user-generated content. What are your customers saying again about your product, and bring that to the top and showcase it and let them do the talking.
Yeah, cool. So the last question, which has come from an anonymous attendee: what happens if you see similar results on both the A and B tests? What should you do then?
Bang your head against the wall. Yeah. No, I think, there's quite a few learnings from something like that, actually. We had this with a client recently where, if you guys listen to this, and apologies if I'm sounding a bit blunt about this, but they had done a test on the website, and it was a test to do with the delivery messaging, whether it was like free delivery for everyone, free above 50 quid, free above £100, free above £150, or never free. And they did some testing on that, and everyone said that A/B testing isn't for us, because we did this test and we were going to have to run it for 6 years to get a result. What had actually happened when I did a bit of digging and asked some questions, and it took me months before this kind of reached me, and I was the one who suggested the A/B test. And when it reached me, I asked some questions, and it turned out that the reason it said 6 months to run this test, or 6 years, sorry, to run this test, is because it was so close that Google Optimize at the time, which, rest in peace, Google Optimize, there was only like the tiniest, like 0.1% difference. So it was going to take 6 years to get enough traffic to see enough of a gap to work out which one had won. Whereas what we'd actually learned, customers don't care about delivery, which, given the 3 or 4 months that had gone between them starting that and me finding out, the amount of conversations I was in about delivery. And now I wish I'd said, what happened with that A/B test? I didn't even know it happened. But so I think communication between all the teams is so important, that if you've got the right brains around and the right creativity, if someone can point out something like that, which in hindsight was easy for me to see now. But I think, if you've got no conclusive result, then actually you go, well, customers don't really care too much about that. So let's focus our efforts elsewhere. So use that learning into the next test. So say you were testing that delivery, and no one cares about delivery is what we've learned. Do a test now where you've got delivery on one page on version A, and version B hardly even talks about it. Like, it's under a drop down and it's not mentioned anywhere else. It's not in the top USPs bar. It's not when you scroll down the page. It's not in the footer. We don't make a thing about delivery. We make a thing about quality of goods, and why our goods are the best quality, and why we used to, and we say, like, our guarantee, and you could put like, our guarantee is 2 years, and cross 2 out and put 5 years. with that, and literally write as part of your brand personality, we're that confident. And then do that and run that as an A/B test. And if that comes back inconclusive, do people even care about these USPs? Actually, should we be looking at the overall design of the page or the lifestyle photography or where someone's going to put or use this product? Let's do a test around that now. So I think inconclusive results actually, I think, are very conclusive in a whole range of different ways. Equally, instead of jumping to the next test, you could do something else and a bit more extreme with delivery and say like a £20 delivery charge on all orders. And if that comes back inconclusive, charge for delivery. Like, what, you're just losing £20 an order. Like, charge for delivery, and your average order value might go up as a result, because people are now going, well, if I'm paying £20 for delivery, I better spend 400. So it's like a tiny percentage. So yeah, you can learn so much about the customer just by making some tweaks and watching the numbers.
Yeah, I think all of that's a nail on the head there. I think you can make some decisions on the back of that, like you say, making change and applying it, because it could impact positively in different spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the end of the questions, and probably the end of the webinar. We've only got sort of 20 minutes left anyway, so I think we will call it there. I've got my list of everyone who wanted a copy of the slides. If you did miss out on getting your email into us, then you can always find us at team@spec.digital. And you can also find us at our next webinar, which actually, if I share my screen quickly, everybody can screenshot. If I just share that. There we go. Sorry, you can probably see all of my windows open at the same time, but if I go that, you should be able to see. There we go. That QR code is going to take you to our next webinar. So that's Wednesday, the 29th of May. We have Sean Rays from Shock Surplus, and he's going to be telling us how he grew his store from $0 to $10 million. So that's going to be a really exciting one. But it doesn't take anything away from Ben today. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. It's been brilliant to have you here. We've really enjoyed your insights and all of your great knowledge that you've passed on to everybody. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Nick, obviously, thank you for coming in as well. Nick's always there, but thank you as well.
See you next time, everybody.
See you next time, I think. Yeah. So yeah, have a good rest of your day.
Great.
Take care, everyone.